Hi everybody, it's Kristine Alicia and welcome to the second video of the course that you decided to be a part of called Unleashing Your Creative Genius with Kristine Alicia. Like I said, I am so honored to be a part of this journey with you. We are both creative spirits here in this universe and in this world, and I feel a part of you contributing to this world. And I'm just here pretty much as your coach, your partner, whatever you would like to call me, but I see myself as just the person holding your hand, your friend, giving you some of my experiences and also some of the things I've learned along the journey. I went to University of Miami to study music business, and some of the courses I studied there actually did contribute to my music career, which is part of it was writing, music theory, constructing good songs. Most of where I am today could only come from experience. And I believe the same is for you. I can teach you the theory and the structure of it, but you're going to have to walk through it yourself. And we're going to talk about that today. This video is called Inspiration Fountain, the never ending well. So I want us to dive into this. Put your creative hats on, if I may say so myself. Get your pen and paper, and let's just have some fun. Let's dig deep into this together. Can't wait. Okay, so you're here and you are an artist just like myself, and I am pretty sure that one of the things that a lot of artists come across is what they call writer's block or lack of inspiration. And the two are one of the same. A lot of times an artist says, oh my gosh, I have writer's block. When they look deep down into it, or when they are truly honest with themselves, what they're really saying is that I don't have inspiration right now. It's not flowing, it's not coming to me. And of course, we can relate. All artists, we need that juice, we need that flow to really feel good about something that came out of us, came out of our expression. If it doesn't sound unique or authentic or if it doesn't have that wow factor, we're like, I'm not inspired. So I want to talk about that today. I want us to really face the truth about why we feel we lack inspiration, why we have it sometimes, or why it dries out, or why we just tell ourselves we don't have inspiration. And I want us to first attack how we can actively get it, how we can, if we've lost it, how we can regain it, and then look at the fact that inspiration is just not this airy euphoria thing. It is actually a muscle that we have to work, and that's why I'm here today to help guide you to that. The first thing I want to say is this: look, without going too deep, right? There are a couple of simple things we can do just for us on the external basis of finding inspiration. We're gonna go deeper later in the video, but just right in front of us are so many things that the universe has given us, God has given us right in front of our face that we can draw inspiration from. That's how I see it. The world is full of signs and wonders, hints here and there. If you've heard me talk before, I don't believe in coincidences. And I think all artists believe that as well. Like, as we get up in our day and as we open up our eyes, if you are a person that first of all decides to be grateful of everything that comes your way, you will see that things are speaking to you all of the time. And our artist language is this: be grateful when you wake up. That's the first thing I want to say. Be grateful when you wake up. A grateful attitude and heart of gratitude is what brings ideas and inspirational things to you. And then if you approach your day like that, you're going to hear things coming or you're going to see things coming to you from all different angles. You're going to hear things in your subconscious. Your conscious spirit is going to start speaking to you. And to me, that's the first step to welcoming inspiration. And that cannot be bought, that cannot be taught, and that cannot be given. So that's my first thing. The next simple thing I do want to tell you, and I don't know if you want to write these things down, but they're just simple little things that you can definitely pick on, okay? Which doesn't take a lot of deep thinking. It doesn't even take a lot of self-awareness. There's some external inspirational outlets that we can draw things from, okay? I suggest, and I learned this in some previous courses. Movie titles. You are free to get inspiration from movies and TVs. First of all, watch a really good movie, a really good TV series, and you are sure to get inspiration. Book titles. Book titles always can give you a topic. We're always looking for a theme, and sometimes these themes are things that can come to you and give you inspiration. So we have movie titles, we have book titles, we have newspapers, yes, billboards. Those all have used to just paying attention to what can come out and are great one-liners. The first thing sometimes in starting a writing session is to start off with a one-liner or a topic or a great theme, right? We always have to have a great topic to build on. And sometimes we're stuck on that, or we don't want to sound too cliche, or we think the topic is too old. No, if you go to a bookstore, right, and you see different stands and you go to different books, the reason why these book titles jump out at you is because this topic is needed, because people need to talk about this, because people want to connect with this experience, because people are searching to find information about this. Now, think about it. If people are going to a bookstore to find a book because they want to find out information about a relationship or about finance or about religion, they're obviously going there because they really want something to feed them information. I heard someone say this and I feel it is so true, that music, more than books, is more penetrating to people's spirits. Like, people read books. Some people read. Not everybody reads books, right? But guess what? Everybody listens to music. Music is part of the most influential teacher ever. You can get through to someone and break down barriers with music. So, how can we collaborate with books? I would say this: book topics, it gives you a clue. The topics in books, the themes in books, the book titles can give you great ideas as to what society wants to hear. We as artists, we always want to give what society needs to hear through our music. We want to give them a message. What better way to find the message, or to get hints from books that already exist with topics? That is a wellspring of ideas and topics for you to gain inspiration from. I mentioned billboards just a while ago, but I need to stress billboards because marketing companies are actually paid lots of money to come up with these intelligent, intellectual, catchy lines. And we see them every day and take them for granted. Those are one-liners that we can gain inspiration from. And by thinking about a topic, it can give you a launching pad to say, oh my gosh, I could write a song about that. That's a great topic. It could actually be a one-liner to start a verse or to start a chorus. There is no wrong in doing that. It happens all the time. So again, what I'm saying is, from the very beginning, before going deep, the world has already physical things that we can draw from. And those are movies and TV titles that we watch all the time, books, book titles, newspapers, billboards. If you look around that and jot those things down, that already gives you about a page of ideas that you can draw and take to your writing session and start to build on that. Okay, so I talked about some physical things that we can actually go out and get that's already man-made. Books, TVs, things that have already come from other people's minds, not a problem. But how about just actually connecting with nature? Now, this is separate and apart from anybody's mind. This is now the second challenge that I like to tell people, because this is where now you actually come into your true authentic self and you trust your inner being to see and get messages from the natural world around you. My favorite thing to do when I'm ready to write a song is to go out into my backyard, go amongst trees, go to parks, go to an area with water falling, go to a creek, go to the beach. That's one of my favorite things. I really have been successful almost every single time going out and tuning myself in. And just as when I do that, I see messages and signs, and inspiration comes from the tree. Now, that may sound a little bit like woozy, but it really does work. And if you've never done that before, I just ask you to try it one time, because we are beings connected to nature first and foremost. We connect with nature. If you allow yourself to freely go, depending on how much times you have done it before, it may happen quickly or it may take a little bit longer. I challenge you to try it once. If it doesn't happen the first time, try it a couple more times. And if you give yourself enough time, you will get inspiration or get some beautiful thought from looking at the tree, looking at the creek, seeing a bird, seeing colors change in the wind, seeing colors change in the leaves, noticing something that someone has never noticed before, and that will be that will be an amazing thing for you to write about. All right, so we talked about nature, and you could say, okay, Kristine Alicia, but let's be honest. Some of us don't live in places where nature is inviting, or it's the winter time, it's too cold. That cannot be an excuse. The point of the matter is you need to be in an environment that really just supports your free thinking, supports the free flow of your spirit. We all know that. We as artists have to feel free, right? I think we fight for that every single day in our daily expressions. So what I'm trying to say is, let's put ourselves, since writing is a thing that we want to do and accomplish in this course, is that you position yourselves, you make the steps to create that environment. So if nature doesn't provide it in the given season, or depending on your geographic area, I did this video specifically in my studio, in a room, and even though I have a studio that has, like, you know, the booth here and the computers here, there's a section here, and this is the section of my studio that I made it to be very comfortable. I made sure that my environment helped me to feel free creatively. I made sure that these are the colors that spark my spirit to feel good. And you may have to create that space, whether it's a small space in your bedroom, whether it's a beautiful, comfortable chair, whether you have to put up pictures. Like, I've put up some of my favorite artists or artists that have been icons for me, to give me that, or to channel that energy of just greatness, of feeling like a lioness. These are things that are important. Sometimes candles are around me, and these things actually really, 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 really help and support your spirit to start to bring out what is inside you. It's like tilling the ground to pour the seeds in, or to plant the seeds, so that a beautiful flower can come out. And that's part of what writing is. You have to create the environment. You have to till the soil. You have to go to the places that will spark it. Everything is inside you that is needed for you to bring out that thing that you were created to bring forth to the world. You have that message, you have that story. We talked about it in the first video. We talked about journaling. We talked about getting deep inside to lay the foundation. We talked about making sure that as you journal, you are building up the different material that you can pull from, right? So now that if you did your exercises from the first video and you really dug deep inside yourself and you've been journaling for a while, you should have enough material to pull from. Okay, it doesn't mean that you won't have writer's block, and it doesn't mean that you cannot find inspiration, because you could say, yes, okay, so I have all these experiences, I dig deep inside of myself, I am now aware, I know a little bit more about myself, but I still cannot find inspiration. One thing then that I would suggest, then I would ask yourself, how much of a critic are you being to yourself? Are you being a perfectionist? Here's what some writers, apart from myself, would even tell you, even great songwriters would tell you, that when they go into a songwriting session, even if it's a job, even if it's on the clock, they know that they have to start the songwriting session completely without any boundaries, any barriers. And what do I mean by that? They go in there, they take a pen and a paper, and they trust their intuition, and they just start to do a thing called free writing. Now, free writing is actually a thing. It's actually a technique. It is allowing yourself to get to position yourself as a songwriter and know that I was given the creative ability to experiment with my creative genius. And that's what this is about. So this next exercise is for you to take a pen and paper, preferably, because some people, sometimes I use my phone and type, but that's because I see my phone as me just typing freely, right? But sometimes a computer can make you feel like you're you're sticking to a plan, or there's grammatical errors. You want to actually write freely, and it could be in a plain notepad where you can feel like you're just writing, like you're almost painting and dashing paint all over the place, but you're using words. And free writing is this: you're not caring about grammatical errors, you're not caring about punctuation, you're not caring about sentences, you're not caring about rhyming at this point. We'll talk about that in the next video. You are just writing your thoughts. Now you could say, Kristine, I need to get a song down. Yes, we are going to get a song down. We are going to start having you on a roll with your creative juices. Here's what starts it. This is like chugging it. This is like turning the ignition in the car, where you're free writing. Now, as you're free writing, you are allowing yourself, or releasing yourself from the bondage of being that inner critic. And writers of all different kinds, whether you're writing a book or writing a song or writing for a movie, the first thing they'll tell you, that you have to get your draft out. You cannot get a perfect piece or a masterpiece without a draft. I remember when I was in middle school or even elementary, our writing exercise was to write a draft. I'm pretty sure most of you have had that experience, where before you present your final paper or your final thesis, you write the draft first. Now this is a little different. I don't even want you to write this draft with first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph. I want you to just free write. Write, and don't even stop. Don't even put periods if you have to. Allow your mind to just fly and freely write. And do that for about 2 or 3 pages. And then you'll be surprised to see what comes out. And this, I would say, can only really happen if you've done the exercises from the first video. Because by now, you are now in touch, and you've actually made a commitment and a pact with your inner spirit to feel free, to trust. Right there, you have that trust relationship with your inner spirit, so that now that you're free writing, your subconscious is releasing a lot and letting out these things that only you can tell, that only you can deliver. And that's, to me, where the magic starts. And then, so after you do your free writing and you have 2 or 3 pages, you can now take from those 2 or 3 pages and decipher and say, you will find gems. You may find 5 little sentences, or you just may find a few words. You could find even a whole topic or a whole song from the 3 or 4 pages, as long as you allow yourself to free write, get rid of perfectionism, and stop being your biggest critique. And so now, if you have all of these pages of your free writing, and then you go to the next step of writing your draft, and yes, your draft may have cheesy lines, it may have some things that you're going to throw out, but you have your draft. I would say the next step now is, if you feel like you still haven't gotten something that is worth a full topic or a great theme, you can now go to the next step, and then you can bring it to someone that you trust and collaborate and bounce back ideas with. All right. Those are, I would say that's a very, very, very good thing to do, but you have to trust that person. Make sure that that person is understanding and supportive of you and where you're going. You want to make sure you have people that believe in you, that are positive, that know how to give you constructive criticism without bashing or without degrading your internal gift and your unique self. That is super important. And then when you do that, you're going back and forth. It's always good. I found it's always good to interview, almost role play, like interview the person that you're collaborating in songwriting and ask them those same questions that you asked yourself or that we talked about in the first video. So this is what happens. You already have a vessel or a vase or a whole bucket full of experiences that you have as material to write from, right? Now, when you collaborate with someone, you now are going to hear their experiences and their childhood and just a lot of different experiences that come. And then you're either going to find one of two things. You're going to find how they are polar, right? You'll find contrasting views, which is also great and creates great songs. Or you find mirroring views that also will spark a lot of inspiration and cause you to be like, and you'll have aha moments, and you'll find that if this person actually connects with your spirit, that this will be a great launching pad and a great board for you to have lots of ideas for you to move forward with a fabulous song. So another great tip is this. In fact, a lot of artists do this in their songs, you may see already, but even writers go back to their legacies. So if you're a songwriter, sometimes you will find that artists go to songs from the generation before, or for example, we're writing now in 2020, right? A great idea is to go back to songs from the 60s or the 50s or the 70s and catch those great themes that did so well back then, or those one-liners. Writers who write books, they go back to Shakespeare. They quote Shakespeare. They quote Hemingway. And they do this because they know that though that's a great sounding board. It is okay to go back to those great legacies and glean from that to inspire you and to give you those one-liners or that theme. I will tell you this, one of the songs that I've written that have actually been one of what I've been told is a favorite from my collection is called Hand Over River. And that song, I got inspiration from the song Like a Bridge Over Troubled Waters, right? Of course, I got inspired by the version from Roberta Flack, but other artists also in that day did it way before. So there is no rule to say that you cannot get inspiration from previous artists. And it doesn't even have to be an artist from decades ago. Even today, a modern artist, what we call a modern artist, can get inspiration from artists that wrote a song 5 years ago. It's actually giving credit to that artist. It's actually giving credit to that artist as long as you do it in a way where you're not, as long as you do it in the right way. We know about the copyright laws, but if you put a twist on some of these lines and you just put your own interpretation on it, that is very, very, very good, and it's actually encouraged. So for example, my song said, hand over river, like a bridge take you over. I got that from like a bridge over troubled waters. So that is where that inspiration came from. And so every time I sing that song, I make reference to that song, no problem. And people connect to it because it's a classic. So those are things you can do. If there is, like I said, a favorite movie or movie that stood out to you, that inspired you, you can take a great song idea from that. I feel like someone should write great, inspiring song from the message of Wakanda. That would be amazing. That's an idea. Another great movie that everyone talks about is The Notebook, that fabulous love story. Um, so we have those things to draw from. And needless to say, I don't want to go on this too much because we talked about this in the last video, where there is no better inspiration than your own experience, your own story. You just have to be confident enough. You have to decide for yourself how much you want to share with the world, how vulnerable you want to be. I heard a great motivational speaker, Brené Brown. She said that the true definition, or the true act of courage rather, is when you are completely vulnerable. So I would say this: a true and courageous artist is completely vulnerable. And how are you vulnerable? Not just in telling your story, but in being vulnerable in your writing session, allowing yourself to free write. That takes courage. It takes courage. Breaking down and actually destroying that deep inner critic, destroying that person, whoever that person is, wherever that person, that negative voice inside that is telling you this is horrible, this sounds bad. No, what you're gonna start telling yourself, and how you're gonna do these exercises in this week, I would encourage you, is to allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to fall. Allow yourself to write 2 or 3 horrible drafts, because those drafts have something special in there. What does it have? It has truth. It has authenticity. And those are the key and the most important ingredients for your final masterpiece. The final thing I want to encourage you to do as you go forward and try out these exercises, and you do your free writing, you go out into nature, and you trust yourself and trust your inner spirit, is to do this. Inspiration does not always just come from the trees or the sky or the season or the sunset. Inspiration and songwriting is a muscle. It's a muscle. I will say this again. Songwriting is a muscle. Inspiration comes in different ways. But because it is a muscle, you have to work it every day. If it's not downloading to you, if a song is not downloading automatically, you're not going to no longer tell yourself, oh my goodness, I have writer's block. No, you're going to say, you know what? I am an artist and I'm going to work this muscle. And how am I going to work this muscle? I am going to take out my pen and paper and just write all the time. I am going to now, if I don't write 3 pages, fine. I'm going to tell myself to write 5 one-liners every day. Every day, write 5 one-liners. And it doesn't matter if it's a wowza one-liner or a cheesy one-liner. Write 5 a day. And if you do 5 a day, 5 times 5, you get it. In that week, in those 5 days, you're going to have enough to pick from. You'll at least get 3 or 4 topics. You have to work the muscle. And also what you'll find, not even in the span of a week, you'll find that every day, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day, your one-liners become stronger. It's similar to how rappers practice. So rappers, when they practice, they don't just go to the studio and get this wonderful flow or all these great rhymes. They practice their rhymes. They practice their flow. And if you ask any successful rapper, they will tell you that as they have practiced their rhymes and their flow gets better and better every single time. They treat it like working out. They treat it like a muscle. So as a songwriter, as a creative to another creative, I encourage you to, whenever you feel like the inspiration is not just coming from nature, or it's not coming from the books, or it's not coming from our legacies or legends rather, if it's not coming from nature outside, if it's not coming from the environment you create, you make a choice to treat it like a muscle. Lift those weight bars. Go back to getting in touch with yourself, asking yourself those hard questions. And then Every day do an exercise. Write a one-liner. Just practice writing clever lines, catchy lines. Pretend as if you're trying to write a billboard. Pretend as if you're trying to write a book title, and just write them down. And then you will see how every single day you get stronger and stronger and stronger. So you start to have one-liners for your book titles. The one-liners, whether they are titled for a song or not, the one-liners can be used to spark a topic. You have a topic, then when you have the topic, you begin to start building on that topic and writing conversations, okay, around that. And then that starts to build and give you material. And then, of course, you then can bring in a collaborative friend where you bounce your experiences off of each other. That will give you a whole nother wellspring of material to gain from, all right? And then there you have it. You have a lot of material to pick from. No excuse. No excuse at all. So we have nature giving us material. We have books and other people from their own experiences giving us material. We have your inner spirit coming forth and giving you material. You have trusted friends bouncing back ideas, giving you material. And you have your muscle that you're working on that makes you stronger. And so in the next video, what we're going to talk about is the constructive measure. Now that you have your material, we're going to talk about rhyming rules, stanza rules, verse rules, chorus rules, bridge rules, if you may, and how to make that great masterpiece, putting it all together. But we cannot do it with the first video, which we talked about being in touch with who you are, knowing who you are. Then that lays the foundation for gaining inspiration and being in touch with our universe and understanding how to keep that inspiration going. And then now that we have that material, we can now form it and be completely true to ourselves, still abiding by the rules that we're going to talk about without sacrificing or compromising who you truly are. And I think that is something that we as artists always sometimes find a hard balance, and we walk this thin line of saying, oh, I want to be completely free of all rules. But then no, there are rules to follow, but the rules that we follow don't have to compromise our creativity. It doesn't have to compromise our free flow. It doesn't have to compromise our uniqueness, and it doesn't have to compromise who you are. I truly hope that you got a lot from this video. Make sure you practice, do some of the exercises, be aware, and the most important thing is that make sure you enjoy this process, because this is an exercise that is just only going to nourish your soul, nourish your spirit, so that you can give to the world and give to your audience what is needed coming from your authentic self. So I hope to see you in the next video, where we are going to talk about rhymes and stanzas, and now actually putting all of your beautiful creative energy into this masterpiece, into actual form, and give yourselves a pat on the back for getting to the next step. Have a great day.